Hi guys, Wyre Villa vlogger here. Welcome to another video here on the channel. Today we have a very special guest with us, Dixie Dawson. How are you?
I'm absolutely marvellous, Natalie. Thanks for obviously inviting me into your home. Thank you as well, Mike. Really appreciate it. Happy New Year. Thanks for all your support last year, and looking forward to a good old catch up away from the usual environment.
What do you think of the studio setup?
I think Sky Sports could learn a thing or two from how we've improvised here in the conservatory.
Definitely. So are you ready and fine?
Yeah, I'm raring to go. Let's do it.
Right. So question number one for you is how old were you when you first got into football?
I couldn't specifically go to a day or a time, which is unusual in me. It's just as far back as I can remember. So if I go back to the mid to late 80s, I remember just me and my granddad playing football at his house.
Was this at junior school then?
No, this would have been primary school.
Primary school, yeah.
But we wasn't using footballs, we'd be using scrunched up newspaper. And the amount of fun that you could have was scrunched up newspaper. But I'd become so inquisitive about football and I'd have so many questions. I remember I was given a book once, and in this book it was famous moves from previous World Cups, and in there was like Pele bringing it down on his chest and then kneeing it, and then I try and emulate these things. And unfortunately for me, when I was young playing football, I was always off the cuff. I'd never had any kind of coaching, but the love to search and seek knowledge in football from a young age, it runs deep, because in the 80s, if you think to how fortunate kids are today, and if you think how lucky kids are today, they can support football teams. So if I'm from Preston, so if we look at Preston are playing Stoke tomorrow, and now before the game they'll know the team. They'll know what kit they're playing, they'll be able to find out what boots they wear, what number they wear, what club they used to play for, all in an instance.
Everything's just so accessible now, isn't it?
Well, as far back as I can remember actually supporting football and following football, was I knew that I was a Liverpool fan, because my granddad, who was like, is a real influential figure to me when I was looking at males. My granddad was like from Burskett, in them parts. It's either Liverpool or Everton. Fortunately, I was told that, you know, this is who you support. I didn't really have a choice in the matter. If I had to fast forward to my first ever Champions League final, you forget that you just started supporting Liverpool because your granddad said or whatever, but the songs and the fans, it was a real sense of belonging. And
it resonates, doesn't it?
This wasn't a decision, it was a commitment, like a marriage. This is my team. No matter whether they win, lose or draw. Fortunately, this is about now, we're winning more trophies than we have done previously for a while. But I remember having one of the little cassette players, a radio cassette player, and they used to put it on a Saturday at 3 o'clock, because every single game was Saturday at 3 o'clock, and doing on this Monday night football.
You were then, didn't you?
And I remember there was one area at the end of my garden drive where you could get the ideal signal, but if you moved ever so slightly, it would become distorted. The player that used to excite me the most was John Barnes, because when he used to get on the ball, the commentator would, and it's John. So you got to think that I'm probably 5, 6, 7 years old on a Saturday, listening to Liverpool on the radio. You knew Steve McMahon was the man with the tackles, and Ian Rush would score inside the box, and that was me supporting Liverpool. But as true as it was, John Barnes, in my head I had this picture of a guy called John Barnes, and the truth be told is I wasn't aware that John Barnes was a black athlete, that he played Liverpool, and his ethnicity was that he was black. And my granddad had me a magazine, and he said, look, there's a poster of John Barnes, and when I saw it, I was amazed that our perception in your brain, you can have a picture of one thing and it actually be another. It was no less beautiful, it was no more glorified. It was just, I think I make that point to emphasise now that these kids, when they're watching football in high definition and they can rewind and play, we used to have to listen to it on the radio. Guess what the person would look like? Do you know what I mean? You'd have a picture geographically in your brain where they'd score from on the pitch and things like that. But I'd get a paper on a Monday and I'd look at all the results and I'd try and work out before turning the next page where we'd be in the league, or what the league table would look like.
Predicting results as well.
It
would, win this one and they lose.
So like, let's see where Leeds are. So it was always, right, check Liverpool, and then it'd be the other teams that you'd had an interest in, like Nottingham Forest and Leeds, and you know, later on, I even remember teams like Oldham being up there. You know, I remember, was it Joe Rose, the manager? As far back as I can remember, I even remember I had a hernia operation when I was about 8 or 9 years old, and it was on bonfire night, so I was actually in hospital on the night of my hernia on bonfire night, and all fireworks was going off. So every bonfire night now, I've got this thing about being in the hospital with the hernia. But I got called, and it's ironic this, the manager of the football team for Cubs, the manager was actually Bridget's dad.
Oh, was it really?
Yeah, so wow.
He had to get in there somewhere, didn't he? Okay, Chris Scott, leave that medicine.
So they'd rang on the house phone and they said, listen, you know, with a game and we'd like to come and play, but I couldn't because of the hernia. And I remember being really upset and thinking perhaps I've missed an opportunity, missed a chance now to play for this team or whatever. But from that moment onwards, and I don't know where this afternoon's going to go, but I'd certainly say that I've always used the adversities in football to my advantage, to feed the hunger. Do you know what I mean? To learn more about the game, to watch it, ask questions. You know, do reading, do research, because even though it's in an evolving game, it still remains the same, doesn't it? Do you know what I mean? So. But it's not like that these days for youngsters, is it really? Like we said, it's more, everything's just more immediate. It's right in front of you. You know, you don't need to dig too deep unless you're really involved. I think the statistics for youngsters, I think any young boy now who's been at an academy or plays at an academy, only 3% actually go on to play the Football League. I think the dream of playing football, to me, when I'm coaching the youngsters and I'm working and I can help a youngster, even at Wyre Villa where I'm involved now, my advice is you have to find the level, you have to find the team, you have to find the environment to enjoy your football. Because I'm 39 now and I still play for the vets over 35s, and I love it. I love it as much as the first time I kicked a ball for the Cubs team or the schools team. I really enjoy football, and I've had a lot of adversities. I've had a lot of serious injuries, like broken bones, sprained ankles, and you know, I've lost important games. And every time that I've been injured, I've got a different area of the body fit or something like that. So I just think, like, making it in football, there's this dream that you play under floodlights, and you get programs, and there's turnstiles, and there's tannoys, and yeah, okay, that's great. It's very glorified. But when we start playing, we use our jumpers as goalposts.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
And we love it.
I think that's a great insight to start off this interview, isn't that?
Yeah, definitely. I really, you know.
Okay,
Are we ready for question number 2? What was the attraction to playing for football? Did you have that person who motivated you or inspired you? Of course, you've spoken a lot about your granddad. Was he?
My Uncle Dixie, so there is another Dixie out there.
Uncle Dixie. Would you trust this family?
God help us.
So my granddad that used to screw up the newspaper, actually there was my Uncle Ted, and then, you know, there's quite a few uncles. There's my dad was obviously part of this clan with my Uncle Dixie, and they used to play, and I'm sure it was like a weekly thing, at a park called Avon Park, which was a forbidden territory for me to go on my own. It was like past the lights, where I wasn't allowed past. So like when I used to play out as a kid, like you wouldn't pass these lights. The lights was near the KFC. Now Avon Park is about 3 miles from these lights, but my granddad and my uncles would each play cuppies or headers and credders, and they'd play there for hours and hours. And I knew that this was happening, and I used to cycle there on my BMX, and I used to watch without knowing, and they developed like I'd see who the best goal scorer, who the best tackler, or you know, eventually it got to the point where I was allowed to play, and I wasn't treated like a kid. I was treated as an adult. I was treated quite aggressively, but it was my choice actually to be there. But I think watching my uncle, as I was growing up, watching my uncle, how my uncle would do his team talks. He would always control his emotions on a football pitch, which I found difficult, but he'd never get a yellow card, he'd never be one to get sent off. It could be 1-1, 90 minutes, penalty, he'd always have the cool head on his shoulders to dispense the penalty. And I think sometimes when you are looking for a bit of an idol or a hero or somebody that can inspire you, you don't necessarily always have to look too far. It doesn't have to be unrealistic. You know, you can try and emulate Cristiano Ronaldo, but you can also take inspiration from your uncle.
Yeah, absolutely.
So for me, watching my granddad and my uncle, and even other members of the family playing football.
It might not even be the actual sport itself. It might be just a sort of empathy with that particular person because of the way they conduct themselves.
Well, it's exactly that. I think football, the way that we're together now, I've described in the past when we've spoken, is football is magic. If we start performing a magic trick now, people will come to watch. It's entertainment. And through football, the opportunities and the friends and the stories that I could tell about my own life just through football as a singular factor is absolutely incredible. Whereas in Egypt, me, my missus and 2 children, and there was a bit of relief on Zoe's voice. She said, "This is the first time we've been anywhere, and you've not seen anybody you know." I think she spoke too soon, because a good mate of mine, I say good mate, when you got friends in football, they're all good friends, but Kenny Myers walked past. Now Kenny Myers is a great footballing man. He's known in the footballing community by a lot of people. And Kenny Myers walks past, and then me and Kenny end up having a drink and just chatting football all day long. And really, when you're heavily involved like I am, there is no escapism from football.
Well, that was the question later on, to be honest with you. How does your wife cope with it? But anyway, if you're never there, it's easy, isn't it?
I think a lot of people, how do you get away with it? They'll say to me like, how does the wife cope? We could go back to the very first date that we ever went on. The morning after, the night before, I'm like, right, I'm off, I've got football. So you've got to let them know early doors.
That's the secret, isn't it?
No, there is almost all that aspect of getting them involved. So like, certainly with the girls team that I do, Zoe will get involved as and when and where she can. And I always actually make it difficult for her at this present moment in time. But before the kids, Zoe would be at every single game, home or away, wherever I'd be playing, she'd be there, she'd be part of it, she'd be watching it. I think sometimes she'd say lingo like as you would in a football, or he's just at a diagonal, he's climbing all over him, or it looks like he's carrying a cart horse. And she really grew into it, but motherly instincts now have taken over, and I'm sure once obviously the girls have flown the nest and my passion remains, she'll reinstate herself. Obviously she loves watching the videos, she's always got a keen interest, a keen eye on results, and I think she's particularly pleased and proud and impressed at how the girls are taking to football as well, because Chanel plays and Hallie's very interested, so she'll encourage that as much as she can.
That's good to hear, isn't it, really? I mean, obviously, for someone who's so heavily involved in sport like you are, if your family wasn't immersed in it, the whole situation wouldn't survive, would it, really? So
now we've got a little bit of the background information. So when you first started playing football, did you have a team, or what position did you play in? I
think the first real team that I played for was Gloucester Call. It may have been under 15s, I think. I remember I was just playing with all my friends, my bestest friends, and we wasn't very good. Obviously, I wanted to play for the best teams or whatever, but there were so many more boys at my age, a lot more advanced and stuff like that.
Liverpool didn't come knocking at that
stage. No, there was nothing of that calibre. In fact, I remember when I was really getting good and playing well, I got Osgood-Schlatter's disease, which is the growing discrepancy in your knees. Yeah. And I was told, you know, you have to take a little bit of time out from football, but it was difficult because I enjoyed it so much. And when I played, I always preferred playing in the middle of the park because I like to run. I like to, you know, work the engine. So I play in the middle of the park. I think from leaving school, playing with lost call under 15s and 16s, I signed with my uncle's team, Preston, West End. A couple of the boys came down, stuff like that, and then that's where really I learned the ability of actually making people believe, because I didn't really know if I belonged there. I was young, I was skinny, I was playing for a very successful team, my uncle's team. Usually won the leagues and won the cups, and in the local area, that's who all the best players played for. So then when I was put on the pitch with them, I was a little bit like, do I belong here? But after my second year, I got Player of the Year, as voted for by the players. I was playing as a right back, and you'll know Andy Smith. Yeah. Andy Smith was the centre half. Andy Smith.
It couldn't be anything else, Andy.
No, but Andy would pass me the ball, and if I would go long, he'd say, why have I just passed you that ball when I could have gone long? He said, let's play into players' feet. And he just really broke it down and simplified it. And he'd, from right back, I'd knock it into the midfielder's feet. And then because he knew I liked running about, he'd say, right, push on. And then we used to score a lot of goals from my crossing and from being able to get up and down. Football, much of the enjoyment of football as well was the social side of it. You know, the after a game, they're going out and they're getting drunk, and the end of season do's and the pranks and the parties, and you know, as the years have evolved, I think football's changed massively. But I remember what you used to do back in them days is after the game, the manager would say, right, is anybody not available next Saturday? So if I had work, or I don't know, it could be a wedding or anything, for whatever legitimate reasons you couldn't make that game, you'd put your hand up and you'd say, oh, you know, I've got a christening, boss, so I can't be here. And that's how it was. It was like, you didn't have to text and then chase it up. And nowadays, you can be at the ground, you can be ringing somebody who's online, you can see they're online, you're like, you're online, why are you not answering the phone? I think football's changed in that.
We've noticed this a few times since we've been down at Wyre.
You know,
it's a thankless job almost, isn't it?
Of course, because we keep fast forwarding and rewinding, but when I played with West End, I took an injury playing 7-a-side, and I ring in the house, the manager, Stuart, I'm like, I need to let him know that I will not be fit for Saturday. So I cycled to his house, put a note through his door, and said, I'm injured, I'm sorry, I don't like letting the team down, but I will not be fit for Saturday. I can't imagine anybody doing that.
Well, again, this comes back to what you said when you're formative years. It's about taking responsibility, isn't it? You know, it's about treating people in the correct manner, how you want to be treated yourself. And a lot of these skills that you've learned earlier in your career, you can see that you've transferred them into your management. Well. Now, I don't know whether this is true or not, but it doesn't seem as obvious with a lot of other people that they take that kind of detail and have that kind of empathy with the team as a lot of others do. It's just a case of, oh, go on lads, get stuck in. Well, it's not quite like that, you know.
No, there's certainly relationships with it.
But that's what motivates you, though, isn't it? You can tell that.
So what on a motivational level, like I was speaking to Phil Doughty literally just on the way up here, and Phil's been on a walk. It's his partner's birthday today, and I was explaining to Phil, me and Phil did a walk with a couple of the other lads around the Lake District the other day, and I explained how excited that I was to introduce this particular walk to Phil. And I said, you enjoy it as much as when you discover it yourself for the first time. And today he's texted me, said, like, I know exactly what you mean. Fantastic, watching the missus and the friends, seeing the faces is unbelievable. And I think wherever I go, whatever I do, whether it's in my job or whether it's at football, I do like to build on relationships. I do like to, in football, I think that's how you get these lads being a little bit more loyal or putting in that extra bit bit of percentage that will get you the points. Is you've got to actually, when you're working in a capacity of football management, when you're working with the, you can't always pick the team. Sometimes you've got to upset people. Over the years I've fallen out with some like really good friends because they've not been picked for football. So if I transform now from, say, like when I was playing to when I was managing, and when I first started playing and I had that feeling of, do I really belong here? Is this my domain? Is this my territory? And perhaps at the beginning maybe I was right to feel like that, but the feelings didn't last for too long.
Well, that was just a confidence issue,
wasn't
it?
I was around good people. I was, was with my family and stuff like that, and my friends also that I'd always played with. So I weren't in an environment what wasn't too uncomfortable or too familiar. But when I went into management, my friend George is a good friend of mine. George is not very well at the moment, so it shows you how quickly things in life can change, and shouldn't take anything too for granted. But George was a player that played really for his love of his friendship for me. He had no right to play Sunday League football. George is somebody who played at Accrington. I'm sure somewhere along the lines he'd been at Morecambe. He's played at a lot of non-league clubs. He'd done your Bamber Bridges and your Kendalls and all teams like that, and he'd be playing for me on a Sunday. And it was the first season. We was called Unicorn at the beginning, and we was getting beat. It was 3-2. We was playing away. And I thought, we can get some out of this. We just need a big man in the box. George was a centre-half, so I put George up front. And one of the left-backs, who's a close friend of mine, is contesting, saying, what are you putting him up front for? We're comfortable at 4-4-2. I said, I'm not comfortable getting beat. I'd rather go 3-4-3 and try and have a go at winning the game. As it happened, the ball got whipped in, last kick of the game. George has hit one, literally just missed. Like, inches in football is everything. It can cost you the points, it can get you the points, it can be unlucky or it can be lucky. On this occasion, that never went my way, but that feeling of, am I really a manager? Because I took the jump, I was very young. In the dressing rooms afterwards, it was brought back up again. Why did you put George up front? And George, who was like a senior player, said, in football, what the manager asks you to do, even if you don't agree with it, when the manager tells you to do something, you do as you're told. And it was just in that moment I thought, right, now I'm ready for this now. And just one little thing can echo and transpire and just change everything. And it was from that moment in management that I went from that was almost the last game of the season. It was right, that summer, I think we finished either second or third in the league. I thought, no, this summer.
This was Sunday League, wasn't it?
This was Sunday League. So I've gone from the playing side of things. The playing career went so quick. Like, I'm talking, if in management, if you compare that to playing, a season as a manager, when you're managing, it can seem like 10 years. But 10 years in playing can just seem like one season. And playing moves so quick. And you tend to preach to the boys, it's going to go so quick, it's going to go so quick. See so many lads that you used to look up to and watch and admire, they commentate now, and they look old. It goes so quickly, doesn't it? You know, when I was watching obviously your podcast type interview, and that last time, some of the players, I thought it would be great for an older Blackburn Rovers fan to listen. I'm not just a guy, because like I'm sure to God that somebody in my team, I forget who it was, I'm 100% that there was like, who's David Beckham? Are you with me? Do you know what I mean? That's how quick it moves. But as a playing point of view, not one single regret. I think I maximised my potential. I got as high as North West Counties, played a season at AFC Blackpool. That's where I then ended up going to Wyre Villa, playing for a bloke called Gordon Fell. Gordon Fell, as a manager, took me around to his house to show me his scrapbooks. He really got me playing for him. We'd have pints together quite frequently. But when Gordon went to Wyre Villa, and I followed him up to Wyre Villa, as a player, that summer I broke my arm playing summer league, and I was playing really well, but the pitches are so hard in the summer. I'd landed and broke my arm. And I even remember I was in in the hospital bed, and they had other managers from other clubs ringing to sign me, and I'd never really had that before, so I knew that I'd been playing well. So then when I went to Wyre Villa, it just didn't quite feel how it felt previously. I think it maybe because you come down in levels. I think maybe there was a consensus that, I could be wrong, but I think that there's a load of new lads and people don't like change.
Yeah.
Are you with me?
You're gonna get that all the time, don't you?
And then for me personally, I wasn't quite in the team as often as I wanted to be. I wanted to play every minute of every game, and I was like being hooked, so I was being subbed.
Did you feel that your powers were waning then, or?
Well, what I felt was that because I'd lost fitness due to my broken arm, the manager was saying, well, you're not fit. And I was saying, well, how am I going to get fit unless you're playing for me? I'd have been happy playing in the reserves to get fit. I just, Saturdays, you're giving up your Saturday. I think when lads are giving up the Saturdays, this is where I'm at now, where when we're making decisions for the team, I'll sort of say you are starting or you are on the bench, so then you know where you're at. So I couldn't quite get it around my head that I was giving up Saturdays and I weren't playing the full night. So then I went back to CCA, where I was playing with my friends, and we played in some great memorable games. It was the right thing to do, and I generally thought that Wyre Villa and me was like it was done. And in the Sunday League, when we were fast forwarding to when George Mellon said to one of the lads in the team what the manager says, and then we felt more confident they're becoming a manager, I went and changed the name of the team. We went from Unicorn to Hunters. We got new kits. The sponsor was the Hunters was very generous, and they enabled us to get good balls. I mean, I'm so committed to the agenda on the Sunday that if the council hadn't cut the pitch on a Saturday night, I would cut the pitch. I'd get one of the lads from around my end to help me rake the pitch. I'd buy him a few cans and we'd be raking the pitch at 11 o'clock in the morning. One of my team talks on a Sunday was, if you work as hard as I've just worked on that pitch,
I've done this for you.
Yeah, you'll get the point. We was raking the dead grass onto big massive bin bags and then pulling the bin bags off and shaking it. It had all blisters all the way around me, and it was just incredible dedication.
Well, that goes back to the point that there's not many people like you around, is there?
Well, I just what I tend to do, and I said like Gordon Fell went round to his house. Scott Preston, he was the man of Sanford when I played for Blessed Sacrament. I was the captain of Blessed Sacrament. I always tried when I played for a football team to be the fittest in the team. So if there's even this pre-season at Wyre Villa, where we did like a 12-minute run or we did like a bleep test, I always try to, even now nearly 40, I always want to be the fittest. I think every team I've ever played for, I've always tried to wear the armband, if not be the club captain. And then when Scott signed me for Blessed Sacrament, they're my happiest playing years. That Blessed Sacrament is, we went 3.5 years without losing a game. This team at Blessed Sacrament, we was in the news of the world. We won the Lancaster Cup, we won pretty much, we just won, and it was just a great time in my life to be at a good age, 26, 27, to be captain of the team, taking the team through the leagues. I think with one game, it was the 20th game of the season, we'd played 19, won 19, and it was 2-2. We were playing against a Longridge side with one of their reserves at the sports arena, and literally I've been put through one-on-one with like seconds remaining on the clock. It's 2-2, and I've hit this shot, it's hit the post and it's gone in. And even just now, the goosebumps and the thinking about it, nothing will ever replace it. No. So when we look, and a lot of the times you get asked, the people say like, well, you know, how does managing or being involved as a manager, how does that compensate for playing? It doesn't. It's completely different. I think it's like being a joiner and a painter, two different trades altogether. I think the playing side of things, I took the best little bit of every single manager that I've ever played for. So like where I had the respect for Stuart to post a note for his daughter to say I couldn't play, I want the same respect from the lads that when I'm asking them about availability. If somebody's not available, as a rule, I never ask them why. Why are you not available? Then you're adding pressure. If they're not available,
so really, you know, when you see these the professional managers, as it were, so why should I listen to this guy? Because he hasn't managed it. He hasn't played at the top level before. It's really got nothing to do with it, that, is it?
No, I've just...
it's about attention to detail.
Yeah.
You either immerse yourself in it and learn it and understand it, or you don't. But just to go in, and because you're... And I won't give any examples, but say you're a big name manager, there's no certainty you're going to be a good manager.
I think that's why Roy Keane struggles, isn't
exactly,
it? Roy Keane struggles. I think Gerrard's doing all right now. You've got
to be a bit more humble about things, haven't you, really?
I think you've got to have a good history, of good people in your background, people that have raised you. I think because when you are a good manager, or I think not necessarily being a good manager isn't necessarily winning trophies. I think being a good manager. So being a good manager is actually being a good person. I think sometimes I think being a good manager is understanding people, and it's like you've got to be the dad, you've got to be the mate.
You are a role model, aren't you?
You have to be your brother. I think a lot of the lads who are with us at the moment and who have played for me in the past. We've done things away from football. I want to say we've done things away from football. It's not always partying. It could be walking, swimming, running. It could be. I've had holidays abroad with lads who play for the team and things like that. But obviously, when I changed from Unicorn and we went into Hunters, and we won the league, and everyone said, "Oh, you won't win it again." So then we won it again. Invincibles, didn't lose again, and we won the cup. And it was like, right. The one that I've always wanted on a Sunday, the trophy that I wanted, is the Lancaster Trophy on a Sunday. So there's 180 teams roughly that entered the competition to be crowned champions of Lancashire, having dominated your league domestically, when apparently the Preston League on a Sunday is the best league. And it's argued that other leagues may well be better than the Preston. The Preston League have won the Lancaster Trophy 15 times. I think the nearest to Preston teams is not even in double figures. That was the prize that I was after. So in my last sort of season, obviously there's all the nonsense with COVID. I think we may have lost a league or a cup or something else because of COVID. But once it was back up and running, it was like, right, we actually finished the league as champions with a 100% record. Another season as unbeaten, but the Lancaster Trophy was the one that I wanted. I think the final, picking the team for the final, anybody that knows football will know that we didn't necessarily go with the best team. We went with the team that got us there. And with what happened afterwards, everything just seems like, the writing was perfect, because all the lads that got the team to the final got the right amount of minutes. The result was the right result. For me, I wanted to actually defend it and carry on and dominate more league titles, because of course I'm a barber. My busiest days I work on a Saturday, and it's just small things, just one little thing here or there can just change everything. I'd signed Richie, and one of the reasons why I'd signed Richie was because I said to Richie, I need this Lancaster Trophy. I've won everything else. Richie was amazed that I'd had a meeting with him, and I was chatting to him in the pub about signing him for my team. And he came away from that meeting and said to his friend, I can't believe he's not even mentioned the league. I wasn't bothered about the league. I've no more room in the cabinet for league trophies. It was the cup I'd been waiting for, the Lancashire Cup, where I'd had exit through penalty shootout after penalty shootout, and then you'd have a strong team and the game would get called off, and it was never a matter of if, it was just a case of when. So I'd signed Richie in the Yew Tree pub, and then from there to actually winning the Lancashire Trophy, so many things had happened, so many adversities, so many games had been played, players had gone, new players had come. The Yew Tree wasn't even in my mind. And then when we won the Lancashire Cup, to be fair to Richie, I got to give him a lot of credit for this, he said to me, he come over and he was euphoric and he's shaking me, he's like, what did I tell you, bro? What did I tell you? I'm like, what? I'm just happy. I'm like, what? In the Yew Tree. I've had loads of mad nights in Yew Tree. What are you on about, the Yew Tree? I told you I'd win the LFA. And it all just come back to me, and I just thought, So all this really has been
a precursor of building up to going back to Wyre Villa, hasn't it? Really.
Well. This is what happened after winning the Lancaster Trophy. Richie rang and said, "I've got an interview at Wyre Villa. Like, if I go down there, will you help me out?" So I'm thinking, well, of course I will. We've just won the LFA together. Yeah. He's kept to his word. He's made a promise. He remembered it greater than what I did. Straight after the kick-off, anything I can do, I'll help you. Now, to the capacity I was unaware, I've never done Saturdays. I've had my Sunday team. We was defending the trophy, the Lancaster Trophy, with the team that we had. The team was. It was just no team could get near us. It was probably too good to play at that level, but with the man that I was doing it with in Jerome Watt, it was just relentless, but everything was positive, and it still is. I speak to him every day today, but that team played in a way that you just dream of football to be played. I've seen it a few times this season, and it's because we're all, I think, quite very new to the project. But then once it came about that me and Richie was doing Wyre Villa, I was like, whoa. I was like, I didn't like sort of give it the 100, I'm at all or nothing. I thought maybe perhaps he wanted me to help him get some balls, or recommend a few players. My memories of Wyre Villa are like, you know, it's been scratched off. I didn't really love it, to be honest.
So how did Richie get approached?
So Richie's seen there's a vacancy.
Oh, right.
Richie will have to obviously get him in on one of these, because everybody wants one of these with Richie. He's quite reluctant, but I believe he can do it. But what's gone on is Richie's got a sentiment to the fouled course with obviously Fleetwood and AFC foul, and then he's just decided through lockdown or whatever that I want to have a go. I want to try management. The foul course has been very kind to me. So I've worked out now all the mileage that you've got to cover, and as we've said,
you've done this already. I said, no stone unturned.
I said, Rich, are we sure about this? From memory, I said,
do you know how much this is
205 miles. This is with training, home and away, and friendlies and league games divided over the season. This is roughly 15-20 hours a week. Have you time for another part-time? And it's just, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. And I'm quite agitated, thinking like, don't worry about it. Like, how's this gonna work? And then he's and then what I've done is I'm like, right, it's just I'm still just playing with the idea now. I'm still not committed 100%. I'm sort of batting it off when people are saying like, are you going to do Saturdays? Because when you've done Sundays, people say, well, can you do Saturdays? Of course I can. But like, I've actually more of a chance of doing that on a Saturday than you have on a Sunday, because lads don't get injured playing on a Friday. They don't go out and get obliterated in the way that they do on a Saturday, because games on a Sunday morning. So how this has occurred now really is I've drove up to Wyre Villa out of curiosity just to see how long it would take me to get there. Now, how nice is it up there when the sun's setting?
Beautiful. Lovely.
When the sun's setting up there, and then the nostalgia hit to when we used to train up there, and the sun and the pitch and the clubhouse, and it starts remembering the good times, and I was thinking maybe that I've been sent here again with what I could regard as unfinished business. I didn't fully believe that at the time, but up until I said to Rich, I need to speak with the chairman. So we've gone and met with Kevin. Kevin's chairman. Kevin, it's bizarre how he would be the number one what I would choose, because he never had to make a save. I'd go home after a game and
all the best goalkeepers have nil behind them, don't they?
I could just hear him, but he'd give you an instruction, and if you think I know, but he'd tell you again, and you get it, and he'd never have to make a save. So then, when I went up to Wyre with Richie, and Kev came out the changing rooms, Brooksy came out the changing rooms, Brooksy was there when I was there. All of a sudden, you've gone from seeing the sunset, you're only taking half an hour to get there, to meeting Kev, someone that you looked up to, somebody that you've played with, somebody that you kind of trust. You have a chat, and the conversation, just for example, like these guys, by way of supporting our project, our beliefs with how we want to take the club forward, being take the reserves and the first team upper division to start off with. is I said to Kev, basically, one of the questions was, what's the situation with the reserves team? And he's like, you don't have to worry about that. There's a local man, he's going to run the side, just play a mixture of young lads and local lads that just want fancy the game. So I said, well, can we bring in our own people? Because me being someone who's played at that level, who now has got 6-7 years of management under his locker, experience of winning and knowing that there are a lot of stumbling blocks in football. You can have one game where you get 3-4 injuries. I've broken down out there to Lake District this season with a car full. You know what I mean? Things can happen. So I said, can I bring in the people that I want to run the reserves? Because if the first team is what you're bothered about, and if that team is the team where all you're into going in, you want this team to get promotion, you won't do it without a successful reserves team. And we saw that in the last game with how many lads from the reserves. And when I talk about people that I trust, Tony lives there, I go running with Tony weekly. I've been abroad with Tony, again running. So when you're running and you're spending time with somebody, your frame of mind, there's no intoxication there, it's all pure, it's all sincere. So Tony and Bridget, obviously you know how long my football relationship goes back with Bridget, and then Andy Smith, and obviously Richie was all for it. Boovie at this point was probably, I had no idea, but I tell you, once I met Boovie within 15 minutes, I knew I had a friend for life. Spoken to you privately about coaching. What a coach! Tell you, if lads are unable to appreciate the standard of his coaching, how methodical he is, and how he's doing his sessions, why he's doing them, and he's doing them to benefit you, I would say, unless you're willing to support and buy into that, go and play somewhere else, because it's second to none. It's brilliant. He's an absolute unbelievable guy. So quite intelligently here with Richie getting me involved, and then getting Boovie involved, and then obviously with me and Kev's support, getting Tony and Bridget and Smithy involved, and then all the local lads are still playing for the club that hopefully is in their heart. Obviously,
and want to play for the club.
Exactly. Well, look at Nathan. I've got a promise with Nathan. I've become Nathan's good friend, and Nathan had a lot of trust issues. But I said, like, I'm not an idiot, mate. And believe me, you give me 100%, you're getting 100% off me, regardless of whether you turn up again or not. And the penny's dropped with Nathan. He's put in some outstanding performances. But I just think that for Kevin to trust my judgment to appoint people that he'd never even met, and now for that team and our team to be able to say we are as one club, you know, we're moving together in the right direction. If we can reciprocate everything that we've done first half of the season, if we can do that again, let me tell you, if we get promoted as champions, or if we get promoted and we win a trophy and reserves do something similar in a short period of time, I mean, this is what it's about, isn't it? It's about living those dreams. It's about, your dreams don't have to be driving a Ferrari in Dubai, you know what I mean? Your dreams can be getting promoted to Wyre Villa, because that's what you spend 15-20 hours a week for, of your time doing voluntary. And you do it, I don't just do it for myself, I want really, I feel like this is to promote a bit of awareness of what goes on behind the scenes. There's no notoriety on my part, because nothing beats the playing. And I want those lads that are playing for the team to taste the things that I tasted as a player, which is the enjoyment, the memories that you get, the friendships that you build, and of course that feeling of winning a trophy when your club's name is engraved in a trophy. I think the people in Wyre, I think the last time that team was to win a trophy will be successful somewhere in the 90s. So it'd be nice to just give the community something back as well. So when you're talking about, oh, why do you do it? I love seeing you guys at the game. I love bumping into supporters that haven't been to the games, that have watched the videos. I love Derek, seeing him with his camera. I'm like, wow, this guy's just an amazing bloke. You know, I'm meeting new friends along the way, building building on relationships that we've already got. But these youngsters, these Robbie Parkers, who, when we started assembling the team, at the beginning, at the very beginning, I was going to carry on with Wyre Villa. I was just going to give it everything and then throw a kitchen sink at Sundays. I thought my Sunday team's there, my Saturday team's there, don't compromise it. So as Wyre Villa's Tuesday, it's Thursday, it's Saturday, the Sunday business hasn't restarted yet, but in my mind I'm looking at the intensity of the workload, and I'm thinking, right, in my head how I thought it could work would be any lads that aren't really playing at Wyre, or perhaps they didn't get a full game, first team, I could offer them a game on a Sunday. I thought that's how it would work, and the weather, if it starts raining, there's nothing you or I can do about it. Not everything's within my control, and beyond my control, further afield, was my daughter. Her team, she plays for Lancome. My daughter, my missus was saying, look, the manager's leaving the girls team. If you don't step up, they will have no team. So I'm like, well, I ain't stepping up. Not only do I have one team, there's the first team at Wyre Villa, there's this reserve team at Wyre Villa, and then I've only had it a few times in my life off my partner Zoe, and it was just this look, and it was like, right, I'll see what I can do. Do you know what I mean? And to speak about the day when I let the lads know on Sundays,
very understanding.
Now, but this next part of confession, so to speak, is
keep it clean.
It's be clean. I put a text together and just said, listen, lads, I just told them outright straight that if I didn't take over my daughter's team, there wouldn't be a team. I'll go into a little bit more detail in just a minute, but I had the Wyre Villa thing sort of keeping me afloat. The Sunday League over the years has kept me masculine. When you're in the dressing room and you've thought the talk and you're delivering it to the lads and they're looking at you and you're inspiring, that aspiration is rubbing off on all the lads and they're going out and they're winning. It held me together. So then on the day when I'd let everybody know, well, you can imagine it was like a shockwave. I don't know how the news transpired through Preston, but the lads was messaging me privately, individually, and I'm at work, and some of the things that the boys were saying to me, how I've changed their life, how they've fallen out of love with football. I remember you showing me some of those. So some of these messages I was receiving that way.
Well, if I find them, I'll put them on the video.
Well, I'll try.
That's hugely inspiring, isn't it? That you're a good person and you're doing the right things, and people respect you for what they're doing for them.
I had no idea what it meant to the lads, and more important, more than anything else, is I actually didn't have a clue what it meant to me, because I'd never been without it. From playing as a lad for Unicorn, as a 15-year-old, playing with my uncle, then playing with my mates, and then the team. While I went away for a few years, the team stayed together. I wanted the best years of my life when I look back to playing with my mates on a Sunday and going out and having something to eat and having a pint, to be able to provide a platform for the next generation of lads in a toxic world of Instagram and Snapchat and Facebook and Xbox and PlayStation. Let's go and play football. Let's keep our heads strong. And to be able to provide that platform, and change people's lives the way that once upon a time someone did that for me. I'm not in debt in any way. That's just it just gives me a great amount of satisfaction. But on this day when I'd resigned, I started crying. I went out the back of my shop and I started crying, and it was unbelievable. It felt amazing. I promise you, I've been to so many funerals and sort of think, well, why is she crying? Why is he crying? I don't cry. My missus, why do you never cry? Like, I kind of was a little bit happy when my first daughter was born, in regards to almost feeling emotional tears of joy. But this was something that I couldn't control. So I got rid of all the tears, thought I'd dealt with it, went back into the shop, and boom, as soon as I thought about it again, I was off. I reckon I was crying from about 10 o'clock in the morning till 10 o'clock at night. With very minimal breaks. Honestly, I'd made my mind up. People were ringing me and I was like, having to go, I'm going to have to, it was so intensifying. And I remember I went home and I was just crying. Nobody was in the house, I was just crying. And obviously that's what people are going to get from me. They're going to get 100%. And then when I've gone into taking over my daughter's team, I went in blinkered. I didn't know that there was different year groups. So when I say year groups, I'm talking about year 5 and year 6. So I used to look at Chanel and think like she's a bit off it, but she's a year younger than the rest of them, and she's training now away from training and doing extra bits, and she's really developing in games. I mean, the record of the team winning games was never important in any way, shape or form. It's no more important now than how it was then, but they're winning a lot more games and they're enjoying it a lot more. And we've recently played in a semi-final that we didn't win, but we will win, because eventually we will be winning these trophies, and losing these games is where we're going to learn, and where our character is going to have a little bit more appetite and desire, and some of the girls that are perhaps a little bit short are going to be putting the effort in. Because I tell you about this girls team, because obviously you'll only see me, I know you've done a little bit with the girls team, but when I left the team that I was managing on a Sunday, which was Eagley Rangers, a prestigious club, most established club in the league, been going the longest, fantastic committee, members of the committee there I speak to even daily now, are friends for life. And when I was so emotional on that day, when I went into taking the girls football team, well, I didn't know I could possibly love football any more than I did. You're talking to a guy that would listen to football on his radio in the 80s and be excited when John Barnes would get the ball and run down the wing, and you'd be thinking, where's Rushy, where's Ian Rush? And all the teams that I've played for, whether they've been not so good or whether they've been brilliant or whether they've won or finished runners up, or some team, I played for a team once, we didn't really do anything, but we'd go on holiday at the end of every year. And sometimes the stories on the holidays would say, oh, we're from a pop band, or we're bin men, or we're paragliders. You could escape from real life and be anything you want. Football was amazing. I didn't think the football monitor could be any more pure than it was. And then I've gone into managing this girls football team now. I'd say coaching, you're not really managing, you're coaching these girls, and the way they look at you, the way the better players at 8 o'clock, you train at 7 and they're doing something at 7 and they're not quite doing it right, not quite, you need to have a little chat and you do it, and then they're bopping it off and you're just like, wow. You know, so with the girls team, so leaving the Sundays and now doing the girls team was so emotional. I was so scared. I realised what football meant to me. But now these girls, the things what I do with this football team, we've done the park run, we've done a bit of trampolining, we've done laser quest, team building exercises. My mate Jerome Watt, who does one-to-one coaching, even he, and it's like a job, he does it with different kids and different athletes all the time. He says they just want to learn. So the plans that I've got with these girls are big plans. To be truthful,
you can't go into anything half-heartedly, can you? It's
all or nothing, and this was the hesitation when I was saying to Richie, you do realise how far we've got to travel, and like you realise we don't have any players, we don't have any players, we don't have a keeper, we didn't have anything. So as far as building the team goes at Wyre Villa, there's a lot of lads fall out of the system. When they get released as a scholar, they get no aftercare from clubs. You know, there needs to be some sort of intervention where, Mike, if someone gets released from a football club, say, I don't know, you get released from Blackburn Rovers, sit with a team and they say, right, what are you going to do work-wise? You know, what are you going to do football-wise? Somebody somewhere needs to support these individuals, because that's how my thought process went. Is I thought, right, how am I, with the help of obviously Boothie and Richard, with Tony, Bridget and Smithy there, how are we going to get potentially 40 players to come to Wyre Villa, voluntary, and say to these lads, right, we just need you to win the league and get us promoted, and whilst you're at it, win a couple of cups. I know you don't know anybody and you don't know where Wyre Villa is, but this is This is why, when it manifests, no one will ever appreciate how unbelievable it is to be able to go into a club and even do what we've done up to now. But really, the hard work starts now because we're like almost like at the business end now.
Exactly. Yeah,
we've got an awareness now of who can do what, where, and when, and how. We need competition for places, but.
And importantly, a lot of the opposition teams,
yeah.
they also know about Wyre Villa.
Yeah. So there's some big characters in the team, I think. Like Robbie Parker was somebody I seen when he played when he was 16. Now Richie and Boovy played with Phil Doughty failed. So I was saying to Phil, please nurture this boy. I know you've not seen him. I know you know nothing about him. When you play with him, let me know what you think. He'd come away and he said he'll do for me, and as you know, he's a phenomenal player. Channy has played for me for many years. Brett Ferguson. To everybody that
the missing man, Brett Ferguson.
Channy's name's Brett Ferguson. This is the best I've ever seen him play. I think it's a good example of what you can do if you look after yourself. You know, he doesn't drink, he doesn't smoke, and he does look after himself. We did a 13-mile walk, actually, me and Channy, a couple of the other boys over there, and he just got out of COVID. You know, he's got a great desire. Nathan, brilliant job out of position playing at left back, and then you've got Jude just offering the defence a bit of stability. Could quite easily be the first choice right back at any other team in the division.
Got a lot of energy on the
he's good player. He's the one person, you know, at the club when you try and identify who you would be. If you was to be somebody in the team, I've always done it at pretty much every team. You always see someone how he is in and around the, and Jude is my man.
He could play anywhere.
Yeah, he's my man.
He played midfield against Bolton, didn't he? He came on playing midfield. Next minute he's played at right back.
I think he's a very good midfielder. I just think you've got Isaac, who, if I was to say to the girls, come and watch my team play football, I would point out Isaac and say he's the one that you can learn off.
He's a nice player, isn't he?
When you see him in training, recently been made aware, just in football, something as simple as just having a look over your shoulders can be. He does not stop, and it's just like crazy. You're training, and you're just fully concentrated and engaged with incorporating good habits. So you've got Isaac, and then you've got Harvey, and then you've got Lewis Wainwright, and then you've got Ryan Moore, and then you've got Stammers, and then you've got Courtney. So unfortunately, I think for somebody like Jude, you've got to really, he's only 19, go to right back, that's what I did, you know, and then eventually you can move forward, like some of the best players in the game had to do, like in Steven Gerrard, he went right back, right midfield, he became a 10, a 6, a 4, a 9, whatever. But I do think for a lot of these young lads now, it's nice to rotate the positions. It's nice to be able to do that in football development. I think it's massively important. I think moving into the second half of the season, if you can get Ollie Evans has got 20 goals in him. Ollie has got 20 goals in him. If Ollie finds him 20 goals, then we're promoting.
Now, he's a big player.
He's the sort of person that you can ring him up and say, this is what I'm expecting from you, because he can handle it. He's done it season in, season out, and unfortunately he's never been rewarded with a promotion, so hopefully...
Was Ollie in Sunday League?
He does still do a little bit Sundays. I'd always tried to get Ollie, but he's a Saturday boy. He plays his football on a Saturday. And this is reason why, another good reason for doing a girls team is because as I'm getting a bit carried away on a Saturday, I've got what I call a healthy distraction. I have to incorporate them daily, healthy distractions, because with how my brain works, you know, days can just go missing sometimes with bad decisions. So if I got like a girls football team, or a walk planned, or a race planned, or an interview planned, I'll always put healthy distractions in my life. And for Ollie, he's a Saturday man, he's got children, perhaps Sunday's not his priority, I'm not necessarily sure, but one thing that I'm sure about is he's got 20 in his boots, 100%, and if he can find his shooting boots, get fit, stay fit, I'd love to be that person in the team. Imagine being the man that can say, you know, it's on my shoulders. Do you know what I mean? I'd probably go to bed a bit earlier, drink a bit more water, eat better food, I'd be making the right life choices. But that said, let's just say that if it's not Ollie, then it will be somebody.
Yeah.
It will be somebody. It could be Dion. You know, I used to say that Dan Fry can't from somewhere find 20 goals. There's an exciting player at the club in Theo Ball.
Right.
Who if
we've not seen Theo, have we? No.
Lovely feet, lovely balance, you know, great aura, good confidence. I like a bit of swag. The guy's got swag as a kid. If I can see a bit of swag. He said something to me about his mates playing at a higher level, and that's where he wants to get to. I said, well then, let's do it. Come and speak with football. His brother's a good player. You know, there's a lot to look forward to now. But the key thing is that we've got to stick together now, because finding players is hard. Replacing players is even harder. I think we've got the DNA now, the components with Stammers and his free kick ability from a dead ball, corners and penalties. You know, I hope I haven't missed anybody, because obviously you've got Aidan, the keeper, and you've got Aidan Fleming. To have 2 goalkeepers
that's standard.
At that standard is ridiculous. And then Joe's an outstanding keeper. For the reserves, Joe's another an individual that I didn't know before Wyre Villa, but now he's a mate. There's loads of them. I love meeting people. That's why I like my job as a barber, meeting people. I'm a people person.
And I must admit, that's one of the positions we've sort of looked at and seen the 3 keepers, and I don't honestly know how you choose, to be honest. I mean, you know, we might all have got our individual thoughts on who we think is the best, but you wouldn't be bothered which one went in next, would you, really?
I think we're in a bit of a team where decisions get discussed, and then it kind of goes 2v1 or whatever, or sometimes, you know, we're all just in agreement or whatever. So in the goalkeeper situation, from my own experiences in the past of dealing with football and decisions, I think you've just got to be honest. I think in football today there's not enough honesty. I've done work at other clubs. I was at Ramsbottom, and the manager there it was a while ago, so it's not the current manager, but it was telling me that he brought a lad in on loan from Accrington to play. So what he was getting his physio to do was to tell the other centre half that he's not quite right to play. And I just think it goes down to,
you're making rod for your own back.
Don't hide, don't bullshit these lads. You know, I said to Dion, I drove home from Millen with Dion after our last game, and you know, there's been times where Dion's been saying stuff to me, and I said, well, you know, he wants some coaching, he wants to develop on his finishing, and I said, well, I can't help you. You have to speak to Richard. Don't go hiding. As soon as you start hiding in football, that's when you've got to find out. I think I've told you about games where I could have got games called off. I could have said to the main referee, this pitch is not fit for purpose, because I have 9 players. We've played the game. Never go hiding in football. So when there's a tough decision, I've had it over the years with some of my best pals. I lived with one guy. He was my housemate. Imagine he was my housemate. We've gone away to Southport. We played a game in Southport, and they've given the last 9 minutes. Now that's football. You got to let football rule your heart, and not sentiment. And don't lie to these lads, and be as honest as you can be with these lads, because what you'll get from them back is predominantly you'll get the same amount.
Right. There's a decision to make, but if everyone's from the same hymn sheet, as it were, and you've got all this togetherness and trust in the group, I think Wyre Villa are going to go places.
So with my mate, John's like, he's so clever. He's as a footballer, the goals he scored. When I was in school, he was by far the best player. I never let that rule my decision making, and it was. My partnership at the time was Richie's brother, whose nickname's Crunchy, but Alan Thomas and D. Edmonds. I said to John, who was living with, how can I play ahead of these boys? I think at the end of the season, I think D scored 37 and Crunchy scored 26. I don't think our midfield or defence scored. That's just how the team was that season. And football will always talk louder than sentiment for me. And I think that's what I've actually had to try and educate the team I'm working with this season is that it don't matter if it's your brother or your mate or whatever. It's like you've got to go honestly off football and always go for the points, because I think as a player I probably played with too much sentiment. I'm probably too attached from playing with my close pals that inevitably maybe was the difference between a runners-up medal or a winner's medal or what have you. But it's made me the man I am today in regards to the way I give everything 100%.
Right, well that's a fantastic story, that is.
Yeah, absolutely incredible. Really, really.
No, I've enjoyed getting it all off my chest.
And no censorships either.
Yeah, no, and I'll be deadly honest, I didn't know where it was going. I don't know if we went down the right avenue or if we didn't, but
let's just hope, you know, we can end 2022 winning a trophy for a league with Wyre.
Right guys, well, thank you very much to our visitor Dixie and your brilliant story, absolutely phenomenal.
I hope you enjoyed it, thanks for having me.
No, it's been absolutely wonderful, so I hope you guys have enjoyed this video. If you did, then please smash that like button, don't forget to comment, don't forget to subscribe, and of course if you want to see more of Dixie, then check out the Wyre Villa matchday interviews, and I'll see you guys in my next vlog very soon. Bye.
See ya.